I'm standing in line, as a kid in first grade, certain things, they don't compute, You have to go to school. At a certain time, you got to be there, and you got to do everything they ask you to do. And then once it comes quitting time, it's like, hey, it's quitting time. I'm ready to go home. But you have to walk in line until you get off the school grounds, and then you go. And I didn't see the sense in, why did I have to stay in line? I'm like, hey, school is out. So I'm in line, so I get out of line, and she tells me to get back in line, and I said no, and then I started running, and the other kids were trying to trip me, and then guys were trying to get me and stop me. It didn't work. I got home, but they caught me the next day because I had to go back to school.
See, here's what I'm trying to say about Walter. He's so competitive, there's so much drive, and it's always been there. You enter the Soul Train dancing contest, this is a few years back, and you did a great job, and everyone's going, wow, Walter can really dance. And you were angry at yourself because you felt you should have won it instead of taking second place. And you would later say, if I would have had a better dance partner, we would have won it, right?
Well,
Come on now.
She probably saying the same thing, too. If she'd had a better dance partner, she'd have won.
You could have been anything you wanted, really, truly.
Well, that's true in anybody. It's just a matter of the frame of mind that you're in, and if you can visualize what you want to do, you can do it. And I just so happened that football was something that was close to me, that I grew up with, and I decided that I was going to do that. I felt if it had been basketball, if the town that I grew up in would have been more of a basketball town, then I'd probably been a basketball player.
Same goes for ownership, too, in the NFL?
Yes.
You think that you probably will be the first black owner?
I hope so.
Or part owner?
I can see myself as that, and like I said, if you can visualize it, then it's possible. I feel that I have something to bring to the table. I have a lot of new ideas, innovating ideas. I've played the game of football. I know what the players are thinking. I've been there for 13 years, and that's my approach. As far as financing, the financing is there. It's no problem with that either. But that's the reason that I'm doing it, is because I feel that I can change some things and make football a lot better.
When we return, the poignant and ironic words from Walter Payton. Why saying goodbye was never easy.
I think it probably be the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Welcome back to our Up Close Primetime retrospective on the life of Walter Payton. I'm Roy Firestone. In 1977, Walter Payton carried the football 40 times for 275 yards, an NFL single-game record. He was a devastating blocker, and his nearly 500 pass receptions was an NFL record for backs when he retired. Once, he even played quarterback for the Bears. He was intense and fiery, but it belied his true personality, a playful kid who never wanted to grow old.
Right now, I feel like a young kid again, and as long as I have these young guys pushing me, I'm having fun at it. I might be here for a while.
Are you still running the hill in front of your house?
Still running the hill, doing some other things that almost kill me, but it's still a great time.
I think that's the key for you. Incredible shape that you keep yourself in. Keeps the season going.
I think that helps, Roy, but I think the key thing is keeping a young mind or a young perspective, and the way you think is the way you are. And things that I enjoyed doing as a kid, I still enjoy doing. So I think if that's any indication that I've kind of slowed down the times of evolution, and I've put it into a neutral stage at this point. When you go into to a season, you don't look at the first game that you're involved in. You look at the long haul. That's 16 games, and that means you got to be ready to perform for each game. And the only way that you can be able to perform is that you condition and prepare yourself prior to the season, because once the season starts, you start working on the little final points of the game in terms of polishing it, so that you get your timing down, you get the right amount of nourishment, and also you have to work out on the weights.
I remember covering you all those years. It was one of the things you used to do. You used to do the hill.
Yes.
Remember that? Where was the hill outside of Chicago? Right near your neighborhood, right?
Well, the hill it started in Mississippi when we were running the levees that would keep the Pearl River from flooding, which it didn't do a very good job, but we still use that. Huh. And then I found one in Arlington Heights, which is not too far from my home, and it was almost 80 yards in length, and it was at a 45-degree angle.
Virtually straight up.
Yes.
How many times would you run that hill?
Tell you how difficult it was and how steep it was. The first time that we found the hill and we ran it, we could only do 2 before we retired. By the time the training was done and we were ready to go to training camp, we were doing 25.
Ooh, incredible.
Yeah.
Where and when, Walter, did you learn the importance of preparation? I mean, was it before you got into football?
Well, not really. In terms of getting ready, conditioning, and everything else, my second year with the Chicago Bears, it came apparent to me that training and conditioning was the most important thing. Getting yourself prepared physically and mentally so that when you do go into training camp, when they start throwing these complex plays at you and all these different options that you do when a defense does something, you can concentrate on that and not have to worry about your physical conditioning. And I developed a training program that was geared around what you do on the football field.
In 1987, before Walter Payton quit the game, I talked to him about saying goodbye to the thing he loved most to do in the world, run with the football. Believe me, the thought of leaving before his time really bothered him.
How hard do you think it's going to be to say goodbye?
I don't know. I think it probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, simply because I've done this the longest in my life, and every year, you know, I start training, and it's sort of like an obsession that I have with pain. In other words, in getting myself in the best type of shape that I can be in, and knowing mentally that I'm there, I have arrived there, and for a common goal to get back into training camp, to get back into the season. But then to say goodbye to that, it'd probably be hard. I'd probably, right now I'm channeling my efforts in other directions to kind of lessen the effect or the impact, but it's going to be hard. And I probably won't be the same person for a while, simply because you go through those stages.
You think, like Dr. J, there should be a farewell Walter tour?
For me, I don't think it's necessary, but I think for the fans that have endured the bad years, the good years, the cold weather, the hot, I think maybe it will be good for them because I know how it is. When I receive something, it just makes me feel good, but when I give something, it makes me feel even better. And I feel that type of vibration coming from the people.
When he finally quit in 1987, Walter Payton was the all-time leading rusher in the NFL, all-time ball carrier as well, and at the time, only one touchdown shy of Jim Brown's touchdown record. Yet there was something that gnawed at him. He felt incomplete. He didn't like the way he made his exit.
I guess ultimately it ends with the portrait of you on the sideline with your hands on your face in a very emotional, despondent kind of farewell. Do you feel that in some ways you disappointed yourself in the way you said goodbye to this crowd?
Not at all. You know, I'm not very good at goodbyes. I've always either, when in parting, just wanted, it's a look or a touch or a feeling that you give people as opposed to words, because you know you can't find the right words to really describe what you're feeling. But if you generate a flow or feeling from you just by a look or a touch, then they realize and they feel that. Unfortunately, at that point, I couldn't touch everybody in the stands, or everyone couldn't get as close to me as possible to see what I was feeling and what I was trying to say in my face.
What do you think you were feeling?
Disappointment, joy, anxiety, relief.
Fear? Any?
No fear. I guess it was basically one of the points of not being associated with it anymore and being on the outside looking in.
We'll return with some final thoughts on Walter Payton after this.
Welcome back to our Walter Payton retrospective. I'm Roy Firestone. He was a beautiful athlete to watch, graceful and fluid one minute, a pile-driving battering ram the next, sweetness to his friends, head and shoulder pads for others. When he encountered his greatest challenge as a man, a rare liver disease, he battled it with his trademark toughness. He didn't accept black market organs, and he could have. He kept his dignity, his humor, and his integrity. I had the distinct pleasure of working with Walter Payton in many corporate appearances, and I can tell you firsthand he was much more impressive a man than any captain of industry, any CEO of any multinational company. He took life on in his own way, and he attacked it as he attacked the defenders. That was his legacy. He was grit, heart, joy, and utter passion in everything he did, and in everybody he met. Matt Millen once said that watching Walter Payton on the sideline during a game was a real pleasure. It was an honor, he said, just to tackle him. Well, I felt an honor just to know him. Thanks for watching. I'm Roy Firestone. Good night.
Up Close is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Proud to be celebrating our 20th anniversary. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.